So we'll jump right in. Clearly, big distinction becoming the first police department in the state to implement this program. Tell me a little bit about the program and why Glens Falls saw it fit to get trained this way.
So basically, myself and a couple other detectives that work here, we have a cold case from 1971. Marianne Wesolowski is her name. And so missing persons and especially missing children that are considered runaways, hold a dear place to us. It's a case that happened long before we were born. We work on it and we're trying to get questions. We're trying to answer questions, trying to get answers on that. So, with that, I wound up getting involved with the New York State Missing Persons Clearinghouse through the Department of Criminal Justice Services. So I actually serve on their cold case panel,
Oh,
and I've kind of gone that route, taken some trainings in that. And kind of the gist of it is how can we be better? Missing persons, missing children, it's not something you really receive training on quite a bit. So kind of did some research to kind of not only make myself better, my other detectives better, but also our agency as a whole. So the initial officers that are going out and taking these reports are asking the correct questions and knowing what to ask mainly. So kind of just stumbled upon NECMEC's missing readiness program, kind of looked into it a little bit. And I said, hey, this would be perfect.
yeah.
The program consists of every member of our agency taking training. It's an online training, but the patrol officers had to take a couple of classes. The supervisors had to take an additional class for supervisor responsibilities. Detectives, an additional class to that. And then the chief, I think, actually took the most. He had quite a few to take, and we kind of implemented that so everybody as a whole, our agency, can know what to do.
Yeah. So it seems like that was a really smart move. Cold cases are my beat, so I am very familiar with them also. And it seems like so many times there's people looking back, even law enforcement, and saying like, in those first 48 hours, there were crucial steps that were missed or, things that we didn't know to ask. So I think that's really instrumental in investigation. So kudos to you guys. Um, so can you touch on a little bit of kind of what you learned, like what will be different now when Glens Falls investigates missing children or missing persons cases?
I think the officers are just going to know what questions to ask initially when they go out. Obviously, I my hope is that the reports will be thorough and the documentation of it. And I think the main point is, and I think it should be, across the board is, I think we're moving away from kids being considered runaways. They're endangered. I mean, if a
Yeah,
child is missing, they're endangered, whether it be because they're out there and the people that are responsible for them, whether even if it's a 15-year-old, a 16-year-old, their parents don't know where they
right.
are, and they're responsible for them.
Yeah.
So I think, culturally, I think we need to do a little bit better in that aspect and really, take these cases serious. Even if it is someone that's ran away 10, 12 times,
Right.
you know,
Something
this
could
time may be it.
happen to them. Yeah,
You may have a 1971 cold case on your hand.
exactly. Now that's very forward thinking. Um, So, is there a message that Glens Falls PD hopes to kind of send out by joining this or getting this training and being kind of the instrumental first police department in New York to get this?
Yeah, I mean, I think the message to the community is going to be obviously that, when it comes to missing persons cases, where we have the best practices, we're going to be able to investigate this thoroughly. And the hope is when other agencies see this, they hopefully will be like, hey, you know what? That's kind of a thing. I actually already received a call about it today from a neighboring agency asking me what the process is. So hopefully it kind of spreads a little bit and other agencies take this.
Yeah, I think that's awesome that you've already been contacted. And I think with all of these, you see so much lately, like cold cases are being solved so many years later. I think there's this push of let's not let these cases get cold. Let's do it, as hard as we can the first time and see what we can't get out of it. I had one more question. Does this relate? I know you mentioned the cold cases, but hard not to draw comparisons with the last year kidnapping that ended as well as it could have, I would say. Um, Nearby in South Glens Falls, did that play a role in kind of wanting to jumpstart this also?
I mean, it was kind of coincidental. It was kind of happening all around like the same time because we
Okay.
started this process in like November of 23, I believe. So it's
So
kind of
you had kind of
coincidental, but
already
I think
got the ball rolling.
it reaffirmed like, hey, it does happen.
Yeah. All right. Well,